Hello everybody and welcome back to the ASUS North America YouTube channel. This is JJ and we're bringing you guys something really cool. For the Z87 series of motherboards, we worked really hard on bringing an entirely new set of features for our UEFI. Some of you guys still refer to the UEFI as actually the BIOS, so this is kind of the heart of the motherboard in terms of being able to make adjustments, controls, and we've done a huge amount in terms of being able to incorporate new functions and features specific for this generation for our Z87 series of motherboards. Now the features that we're going to be covering specifically apply to not only our mainstream series or our Gold series motherboards, but also the Sabertooth and the Griffin or the Tough series, our WS series, as well as our RG series. Now, after we've covered the initial mainstream series UEFI options, we'll be jumping actually into an exclusive set of ROG options on an ROG enabled motherboard. So do keep in mind that the majority of the options that we show you right now in the beginning, when you're looking at the blue themed UEFI, are going to be consistent across every single one of the motherboards. And once we get to the ROG series, which is going to be in a red themed UEFI, those options will be exclusive to just the ROG series of motherboards. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the UEFI and take a look at what we have new for this generation. Okay guys, so first off, you can see here that we're in our easy mode interface. The easy mode interface was originally designed to be able to kind of give you guys a one-stop reference at all key points of information specific to your system, while allowing for kind of easy points of manipulation that wouldn't require you to have to get into the heart or the kind of the deeper sections of the UEFI. And for this generation, we've tried to improve upon it further by giving you key points of of adjustment for the easy mode that really speak to not only the novices out there, but even some of the advanced users out there. So let's go ahead and cover some of these. First off, you can see that of course we've gone ahead and themed the UEFI in a little bit of a different look. It's got a little bit of a crisper, kind of more modern feel to it, and we still keep the great level of response. As you see, I'm kind of tracking the cursor across the screen here. It's really smooth, and that's something that we take great amount of pride in, because the response that you're going to have in our UEFI is very clean, it's responsive, it's fast, it's fluid, and this is something you're not necessarily going to see on a lot of the competitors' products. This takes a lot of special fine-tuning when we're developing the UEFI, and it's one of the key reasons why we've led the industry and the overall kind of responsiveness as well as the experience that you have inside this environment. So from the top here, of course, you can see key points of information such as the model of the board, the UEFI revision, your CPU, and the frequency. New aspects that we've gone ahead and incorporated outside of the basics like CPU temperature and voltage information is in this section specifically here for DRAM information. You can see that we are actually letting you know per each one of the DIMM banks the memory that you have installed, not only the density but the frequency that it's running at. Now, one of the most common things that users out there do is enable XMP. Some of you guys are not familiar at how to actually enable XMP because you think that the board automatically negotiates this by default, but you do actually have to go into the board to set this property. Before, it took about 5 steps to be able to accomplish this, as you had to go into the advanced section, the AI tweaker section, advanced, define XMP, and then execute that. For this generation, it's far simpler. All you're going to have to do is just click on this XMP button. You will see a profile for your XMP module. You can click it and go ahead and go to OK. So it's a one-stop shop at being able to enable XMP. So we can see after that quick initialization, it's now gone ahead and applied our profile, which you can see here we're utilizing Corsair's Dominator Platinum 2800 enabled memory, and that's it. We never had to leave the initial easy mode to be able to enable something like XMP. So it's a great and easy point at being able to improve your performance with just the touch of a button. Moving next to that, we have of course our fan options. Now, we've always led in terms of giving you very advanced fan controls inside the UEFI, but they were relegated to only being in the advanced section, or if you had to adjust it from within the operating system, you could take advantage of our easy-to-use software like Fan Expert 2. But for this generation, we wanted to once again simplify it. So here in the easy mode, you can go ahead and click this expand tab, and you can see all the headers that the motherboard has to offer, and you can quickly go ahead and select the header and define an actual fan profile for it. So once again, you don't need to jump into the advanced mode. I can just go ahead and click silent, and from there, once I go ahead and save that profile, that'll be automatically applied to my primary CPU fan. So once again, it allows you to go ahead and have something that you find useful and easy to work with, but without having to jump into the advanced interface. And you can do that per each one of the headers. Now, we do give you the option to go ahead and assign manual values, which would require more adjustment in terms of setting maximum RPMs and minimum RPMs and things along those lines. But because that's going to require a bit more entry, you're going to have to still do that in the advanced section. So you can go ahead and select manual, but it'll let you know you do need to enter into the advanced section of the UEFI. So next up here, of course, we still maintain our performance-oriented options, with ASUS Optimal being a quick one-stop clock at overclocking your system to about 4.2 gigahertz with just the click of the button, normal leaving you with stock mode operation, and power saving not compromising performance, but just making an adjustment to the voltage that we apply to the CPU, allowing you to have lower temperatures, lower power consumption, while still maintaining great performance. So this is for you guys that are looking for long-term power conservation, better efficiency, stock level operation, and for you guys that are interested in improved performance out of the box, you can just go ahead and click on the Optimal button. Now down here we continue to have, of course, our drag and drop boot priority, which means you can go ahead and select the volume that you would want to go ahead and boot to. Just click on it, move it around. Very simple, easy process to work with. Now we've also gone ahead and incorporated another cool option, which is SATA information. A lot of you guys, when you connect a lot of devices, you might be looking for an immediate way to recognize at the devices I have installed in the system. So from here, I just go ahead and click this SATA information button, and you can see it will show me each one of the ports I have, and if I have a corresponding device attached to it. So this makes it much more simple in terms of recognizing which devices you have available to you, and once again, without having to go all the way into the advanced section of the UEFI to be able to just confirm information like this. Now, there's a couple of options that we have down here, such as the shortcut mode, and we're going to go ahead and touch on that though once we actually get inside of the advanced section. So with that, let's go ahead and hop inside there. So we're just going to go ahead and go into the advanced section, and this brings us into a lot more of the advanced functionality that the UEFI has to offer. So first off, we're going to see that we have a main tab, and the main tab really doesn't have too many changes. Okay, but there's a lot of good information here. Now right to the right hand side of it though, we've got some really cool options here. The first one you want to see is this one labeled Quick Note. Now in previous generations we've tried to make it easy for you in terms of being able to have a way that you could take information from the UEFI and share it with your friends or other users in the community, or even technical support departments if you need to pass over information, and that was done through our print screen option, which was an F12 key, and if I had a USB flash drive attached, it would save a picture of whatever screen I'm on, and it would save it in a bitmap file. For this generation though, we've wanted to give you even a little bit more flexibility, and so we've integrated note-taking inside of the UEFI. All you're going to need to do is click the Quick Note button, and you can see that you can go ahead and have information that's saved in there. So you guys, of course, our viewers, we love you guys. You guys are the best, and you guys rock, and we appreciate the views. And that was a little note that I went ahead and I saved in there for you. But of course, if maybe I was tweaking and tuning my system and I wanted to go ahead and do some overclocking, I could go ahead and clear out that message and start to go ahead and denote, okay, at 4.8 gigahertz, a voltage of 1.25 volts, excuse me, volts is required. Right? And you could go ahead and store that information, and you could go ahead and break anything down that you wanted to. It wouldn't matter what you would go ahead and need to define. There's no limitation in terms of the type of information you store into the UEFI, and it would be persistently present. So you could go ahead and save and quit, and if I went ahead and relaunched it, it'd still be available to you there. And it just allows you to have a lot more flexibility at the amount of information that you immediately have reference to. So for you guys that have done tweaking and tuning, and you've always maybe had like your tablet there on hand, or a piece of paper and a pen, and you've always been kind of jotting stuff down, or you forget about it, this way you can always define all that key information and have it accessible to you inside the Quick Notes field. Now, another option that we have for this generation that's really special is our My Favorites. For some of you guys that are familiar with our previous UEFI, you know about a shortcut option that we had with our F3. And we still continue to have that. As you see right here, the great thing about the shortcut option is it's an easy way to be able to immediately jump into certain parts of the UEFI without having to navigate. For some of you guys, you might not know where fan controls are at, right? So I could just easily go ahead and select my shortcut field, which we pre-populate with these options, and I could go ahead and jump straight to fan controls. Makes it a very simplified process. The great thing though is for this generation, we've gone ahead and given you the ability to customize not only the shortcut field, but also customize a primary kind of home field. So just like you guys in your browser might define an automated screen that you're going to normally work with in terms of the initial tabs that you might want to reference, you can now do that here with your favorites. So if I go ahead and once again hit my shortcut, if I wanted to, I can remove all these options. It's fully customizable to me, and I don't have to have any options that I don't want available. So I can go ahead and, let's say, delete these. Okay guys, we've cleared everything out of the shortcut field, and from here we can now go ahead and add anything we'd like, whether it's going to be to the actual table of contents shortcut that we have, as well as the My Favorites page. So all we're going to need to do is go to a section of the UEFI that we want to have access to. So let's say it could be something like SATA configuration, maybe the port selection. We can go ahead and select F4, and we could add it to the shortcut field. We could also go ahead and add it to the favorite field. We could go to, let's say, AI clock overclock tuner, and we want to go ahead and have that option available to us. So we can go ahead and pick F4, and we could add that to my shortcut field. So from there, if you look, and now I press F3, we've added SATA mode selection and AI overclock tuner, and we've also gone ahead and now have that available there in the My Favorites. The great thing also is in the My Favorites, those fields are immediately adjustable as well. So I can go ahead and actually select on that and now set the board into RAID. So you can imagine you can go ahead and set a number of key points that you want to immediately have access to every time you get into the UEFI, as opposed to jumping into sections that you might not consistently be utilizing. So at the end of the day, one, via the F3 option, we're giving you a great level of flexibility to have the key parts of the UEFI that you'd want to be able to jump to and have more options available to you. And for you guys that are more interested in key points of adjustment that you consistently manipulate, you can go ahead and assign those to that My Favorite section. So a great robust level of functionality that we've now incorporated for this generation. So moving past that, we have continued to actually even offer more in terms of what we've done. So if, let's say, we go ahead and go into our advanced section and we go to SATA configuration, you can see, of course, that we have a real-time preview of the devices that we have connected. And this is great, but if you guys are like me, I have a huge amount of storage devices usually connected to my board. One of my systems at home, actually, I have 6 SATA devices all installed in there, and they're actually all storage-based. So when you have that level of storage set up, sometimes you want to be able to name them or keep in mind what you have connected. So what I can go ahead and now do is I can highlight that, and I can go ahead and actually delete that line, and I could label this as my primary OS volume Win8. And that would actually allow me to rename each one of those SATA ports. So that's a great level of flexibility that you could imagine that if you have like 3 2-terabyte drives or multiple drives from the same vendor, you can go in there and you could assign one as your photo backup, another one as your Steam library, another one as, you know, videos that you have to edit. It could be any number of different things, but this way it makes it very easy for you to be able to go into your UEFI, and if you're making any type of adjustments that could be critical in terms of how they might end up affecting your storage configuration, you're going to know which drives you're actually adjusting or manipulating. So it's another nice touch point that we have integrated for this generation. So when we take a look also, of course, within the monitor section, we continue to offer a very advanced level of fan control functionality per each one of these headers. So you can see that here from the CPU fan to the chassis fan to chassis fan 2, these all allow for full manual levels of control and flexibility. And for each one of these, we not only have the ability to control 3-pin or 4-pin based fans, but you can go ahead and set predefined standard, silent, or turbo profiles, as well as even go ahead and set a manual profile where you have more customized control at being able to assign the minimum temperature, maximum temperature, and the corresponding response ratios for those temperatures. So this really allows you a huge amount of flexibility and granularity at being able to work with your system. So lastly, we have something that's very convenient for you guys to do a lot of tweaking to the system and sometimes want to be able to take a look at all the adjustments that you make. And that's actually going to be our last modified section. So if I head over to last modify, you can see that I previously made some changes in the last modified table where I was doing some overclocking. I reset my DRAM divider down to 1066, and I adjusted our MSC fast boot option. As you go through and you make all these adjustments, it will actually track this. So in between each reboots that you have on the system, you'll actually be able to see everything that's been adjusted on the motherboard. And this gives you a huge amount of information at knowing that if you go through and I change multiple values, I can realize each one of those steps. So I can go back and more easily make an adjustment if maybe that's affected my system stability or it's changed my overall outcome in some way. So altogether, when you take a look at not only the response, the fluidity, and the stability that we offer within our UEFI, but the advanced new options that we have, we've really kind of taken it to another layer of being able to give you guys features and functions that are very beneficial to you, whether you're an advanced user or a novice user. So with that, let's take a look at the ROG options. Okay guys, so we've jumped in here into the ROG UEFI. Now keep in mind that these options that we're going to show you under the red themed UEFI option are exclusive to just ROG series motherboards. They're not for either our mainstream or our Gold series boards, WS, or Sabertooth series. Okay? But all the other options that we previously showed you are applicable here to these ROG series motherboards. So first off, here in the actual top left corner, you can see that we have the Republic of Gamers Eye logo, and it actually, you can see, has a little bit of a pulse to it. And this is what we refer to as kind of the ROG pulse, or the heartbeat of the system. It is a great way that for you guys that are tweaking and tuning and overclocking the system to know that the system actually has not locked up. In some situations, you can aggressively either overvolt or overdrive certain parts of the motherboard, and it can lock up inside of the post environment, and you might not readily realize it. Maybe you walk away for a couple minutes and you come back and you don't realize that something's going on. And as you can see right here, that consistent little kind of flashing animation allows you to know that the system is consistently working. So that's one of the first new functions that we've gone ahead and incorporated in. Now, of course, you can see that we still maintain our full real-time clock calculator. This is also on, of course, the standard series. And if we make adjustments to, of course, any one of the frequencies, we'll see a real-time calculation of any of those adjustments there in terms of what becomes the target frequencies that we're shooting for. So that's a great set of options. Now, specific to this board here, we have a new advanced level of overclocking presets. So if we jump into it, you can see here that we have customized BCLK profiles. For this generation, and specifically for this motherboard, there's a whole new level of overclocking capability that's applicable for BCLK overclocking. So you guys that are looking to push the maximum level of performance tuning, not only out of your multiplier, but out of the BCLK, you'll have new options that are available exclusive to ROG, where we've made customized profiles for you, and you can go ahead and select these. Now, for the gamer's profile, this is actually a dynamic overclock of the CPU in itself that uses per core tuning, meaning that we'll ramp actually the primary CPU threads to higher frequencies than the 3 and 4 core threads, which will still be overclocked but at lower frequencies. This gives you a great balance of not only providing higher level overclocking, as we're not limiting to a single frequency, but also gives us overall superior performance in applications that sometimes benefit from lighter threads or lighter loads. So moving past that, if we take a look at the AI overclock section, you're going to see that we have a number of different options available to us, and one of them is going to be our CPU level up option. CPU level up is a great easy way for you guys that don't necessarily want to have to deal with manually tuning your system. You have targeted frequencies that you can go ahead and just define that based on your cooling solution. So 4.2, 4.4, and 4.6. With just the selection of those, the board will automatically define all the parameters you need it to, reboots, and you'll now have that CPU frequency available to you. Keep in mind though, once again, that as you increase the CPU frequency, you are going to want to go ahead and have a cooling solution in place to be able to dissipate that. So moving down from there, we can go ahead and take a look at a great new option that we have here with GPU Dim Post. GPU Dim Post, it gives us a visual recognition of our system as it's defined in terms of the graphics cards as well as the memory. So you can see right here in terms of the PCIe slots, currently we don't have an actual graphics card installed because we're running off the integrated graphics. But if we did, it would actually show up on PCIe by 16 by 8, the first slot, to allow us to know what the actual graphics card is, whether it's a vendor in terms of NVIDIA or AMD, and what's the actual speed that it's running at. So this allows you guys to be able to ensure that you're getting the maximum level of performance from whatever device you have installed. In addition to that, of course, we can see a visual recognition of the memory that we have installed and the frequency it's running at. And once we overclock it, it would also show the frequency that that memory is running at. Moving from there, we have an extensive level of options that are underneath our Tweaker Paradise setting. Tweaker Paradise is really for you guys that are looking to push the board in ways that normal users aren't interested in, but if you're looking to get every single ounce of performance out of your CPU, there's going to be options in here that nobody else is spending the time to be able to incorporate in terms of not only the hardware design, but the UEFI coding requirements. And you can make sure to find out what these options actually do and enable for you guys if you're interested by checking out our forum-based guides. Now, if we head back over into the DRAM section and DRAM timing control, you're going to see that we have some very special options on our memory presets. So you guys that are interested in DRAM overclocking, we've customized an extensive level of profile for all types of ICs that are on the market, where we've gone ahead and customized specific voltages and timings and frequencies for these ICs. So once you find out what ICs you're running for the modules that you are utilizing, you can go ahead and define one of these profiles and allow it to have maximum compatibility as well as scaling potential, so that you can get the best overall overclocking experience. So that gives you a bit of perspective in terms of the majority of the new options that we have here, but we have one very special option that we've also introduced for you guys that are interested in maximizing storage performance, and that's going to be our ROG SSD Secure Erase. So this is an entirely new function that we've embedded inside of the UEFI. And what this actually allows you to do is have the flexibility of running Secure Erase on your SSD, but without actually having to use a third-party utility, or if your SSD manufacturer doesn't even produce the utility, utility, it gives you the only way that you can easily be able to secure erase your drive. So for you guys that normally don't know what secure erase is or how to run it, all you have to do is just run inside the UEFI, you make an image backup of your SSD, and if the performance is degraded, you can go ahead and secure erase it, reset it back to essentially 100% of its peak performance like it came out of the box, re-image back your SSD, and you're back up and running. So this is an awesome function that we have exclusive to ASUS ROG series of motherboards. So with that, that wraps up the new features that we have not only on our mainstream series, but our ROG series motherboards. Okay guys, so we've given you a bit of a crash course, not on necessarily how to tweak and tune your UEFI, but a lot of the new features that we've specifically introduced for our ASUS Z87 series of motherboards. Hopefully you guys are impressed with a lot of the customization that we've been able to give you, from the quick notes function to the integrated secure erase and even SATA renaming and single-click XMP functionality. We really think that you guys are going to love these features, and we'd love to hear your feedback on things that not only you liked, but what you'd like to maybe see in the future. So feel free to go ahead and drop the commentary here on the YouTube page, or you can check us out at our North American Facebook or Twitter pages as well. If you enjoyed the video, please make sure and subscribe, as well as thumbs up and like the video. And thank you for watching.